Professor Sachin Panda is a leading expert in the field of circadian rhythm research. In Dr. Rangan Chatterjee's podcast talk, we highlight the following points. If you have an existing health problem or are taking medication, always consult your doctor before going for long periods without eating. The phenomenon of intermittent fasting, specifically time-restricted feeding TRF, gained popularity thanks to research initiated about 10 years ago. This study, initially conducted on mice, showed that mice eating within an 8-hour window were protected from metabolic diseases despite consuming the same number of calories as those with unrestricted access to food. This finding led to skepticism about its applicability to humans, but subsequent trials in humans proved its effectiveness, making intermittent fasting widely accepted. Intermittent fasting, often practiced as 16 to 8 or 10-12 diets, is deeply rooted in our circadian rhythms, which optimize our body's metabolic, physical, and intellectual functions over a 24-hour cycle. The human body evolved to have 12 to 14 hours of fasting daily. When fasting is consistent, the body prepares itself, using glucose and stored glycogen for energy. After approximately 7 to 10 hours, glycogen stores deplete, prompting the body to burn fat. Aligning fasting with sleep enhances the repair processes, including gut lining repair, which occurs during deep sleep. This internal preparation, driven by circadian rhythms, is crucial for the body's repair and maintenance, highlighting the benefits of intermittent fasting.
And then slowly, when it runs low on glycogen, so which happens maybe 7-8 hours or even 10 hours after our last meal, then it slowly begins to burn a little bit of fat. And when the fasting period aligns with your sleep, then there is another magic that happens. That is, our gut lining and many parts of our body actually gets a lot of damage throughout the day, and they have to be repaired. And that repair process happens only when we are in our deep sleep and also we are fasting. We don't have too much food to digest. So after 9 to 10 hours, this is when, if you're asleep, then your pituitary gland will produce growth hormone that will travel to many parts of your body, including the gut lining, and to trigger the repair process. So that's when a lot of the repair process will happen. Your gut lining will get repaired. Many other tissues will get repaired. And then after maybe 12 to 14 hours, that's when our body will will break down enough fatty acids or stored fat to produce a little bit of ketone. And this ketone now begins to fuel your body. And then ketone is also very recent discoveries suggest that ketones are anti-inflammatory because they affect the immune system. The immune cells also like ketone in many different ways. One is they can use it as fuel. Ketone is a fuel. And second is ketones are also signaling molecules. So that means they can instruct the cell to turn on different kind of programs. So one of the programs that
recent research on intermittent fasting, particularly time-restricted feeding TRF, reveals groundbreaking insights. Initial experiments with mice showed that those restricted to eating within an 8-9 hour window avoided metabolic diseases, despite consuming the same calories as unrestricted mice. This has been validated in humans, highlighting the importance of consistent fasting. The research examined 20 organs and brain regions in mice, tracking 20 to 1,000 genes over 24 hours. Results showed that over 80% of genes altered their activity based on feeding times. This suggests that controlling meal times can significantly influence genetic expression, impacting various bodily functions. The practical takeaway is that meal timing, not just dietary content, plays a crucial role in health. It's simpler to manage compared to tracking calorie intake and macronutrient ratios. Adhering to a fixed eating schedule can enhance sleep quality, reduce food cravings, and improve overall nutrition choices. Clinical trials indicate that time-restricted eating often leads to a natural reduction in calorie intake by 5–20% as people tend to make healthier food choices and consume less alcohol. Understanding and applying these insights can transform dietary practices, emphasizing the significance of when we eat, alongside what we eat.
So most of us, when we wake up, we're waking up to an alarm clock, or we have to go to office or do something or take care of the children. So that's why we're waking up in the morning. So that means our sleep hormones are still high. Although we just dragged ourselves out of the bed, our hormones, particularly melatonin, is still pretty high. And that takes an hour or two to go down. And within 45 minutes of waking up, our stress hormone cortisol reaches its peak. So this is the time when you can say changing of the guards that happens in the morning. So the sleep hormones are coming down, the stress hormones are going up, and your body is actually not ready to digest food and assimilate nutrient perfectly, because melatonin inhibits glucose-induced insulin release from the pancreas. So that means within an hour of waking up, most of us still have pretty high level of melatonin, which can inhibit this insulin release. So if we eat something or drink tea with milk and sugar, to process that, a body has to produce and release sufficient amount of insulin, which may not happen properly in the first 1 hour.
Practical tips for everyone, regardless of diet or culture, include avoiding food for the first hour after waking. This extends to avoiding coffee or tea with milk or sugar during this time. Black coffee or tea, however, is acceptable. The rationale is that even a small amount of sugar can spike blood sugar levels due to the body's reduced ability to process it first thing in the morning, when sleep hormones like melatonin are still present. For those who must have a hot drink, black coffee or herbal tea is recommended. If someone relies heavily on caffeine to wake up, it may indicate poor sleep quality and a need for better sleep habits. However, there are exceptions to the no coffee rule, those whose jobs depend on immediate alertness, for public safety like driving, and for those who derive significant joy from their morning coffee. Caffeine can reset the body's circadian clock similarly to exposure to light, although light has additional benefits caffeine cannot provide. However, individuals with acid reflux should be cautious with strong black coffee, which can exacerbate their condition. Historically, the practice of having a small amount of food with coffee to mitigate acid reflux evolved into the modern concept of breakfast. In addition to avoiding food and certain beverages, exposure to light in the morning is crucial. Light helps synchronize the brain's circadian clock and reduces sleepiness and depression. Aim for 30 minutes to an hour of exposure to around 1,000 lux of light, which can be achieved by going outside or opening windows, even on a cloudy day.
Can you explain what is the difference between our body clock and our brain clock?
Yeah, so almost every cell in our body, in every organ, has its own clock. And when we say clock, one thing that comes to our brain, comes to our mind is sleep, because we go to sleep every night and then wake up. And if we think what happens during sleep, many things happen to our brain, and three that can be summarized into three things. One is repair, reset, and rejuvenation. Our brain repairs itself. We know that the brain takes out its trash, and that has been shown recently. Rejuvenation, so the brain cells connect with each other much better, synaptic strengthening, and it resets itself for the next day. So similarly, every cell in our body has to repair itself and goes through this. So now, all these clocks have to also be synchronized with each other. So that means our liver clock should be in sync with our gut clock, so that our gut has its own timing when the digestive juice is produced, and it also has a better time when it can absorb all the nutrients and the liver has to process. So liver also has a peak time or preferred time when it can process all the nutrients. So all these clocks have to be synchronized with each other. And what we find is, if somebody decides to eat in the middle of the night, wakes up in dim light and eats some food, then all these clocks, they will think, all the body clock, they will think, maybe this person moved to a different time zone. So they will try to reset themselves, anticipating that next day this person will also eat at the middle of the night.
On a typical day, the speaker follows a consistent routine of going to bed at 9 p.m. and waking up around 5 a.m., which works best for them. However, during a recent event in London, their schedule was disrupted. After a late-night podcast event that ended around 11:15 p.m., they found themselves in a wired state despite the late hour. They snacked on cashew nuts and dried mango slices in their hotel room around midnight, breaking their usual eating pattern. AM the next day, feeling exhausted and struggling throughout the day, even though they had a decent night's sleep. The speaker's experience reflects the importance of maintaining a consistent eating and sleeping schedule. Their body clock was not. Consequently, they woke up at 5 o'clock prepared for food intake at such a late hour, leading to digestive issues and what they termed a food hangover. The body's internal clocks, including digestion and nutrient absorption processes, were disrupted by the untimely meal. Additionally, their brain and body clocks became desynchronized, trying to adjust to the irregular eating pattern. The speaker's struggle emphasizes a key message from their work and books. Eating in sync with your body's clock is crucial for overall well-being. Deviating from this rhythm, even with healthy food choices, can have negative consequences and may take several days to recover. This experience serves as a reminder for many who might unknowingly disrupt their circadian rhythm and eating patterns, impacting their daily energy levels and overall health.
The speaker discusses the challenges people face in shrinking their eating window, highlighting the difficulty of going from a 12-hour window to 10 hours and then to 8 hours. They mention studies where participants, initially instructed to eat within an 8-hour window, eventually gravitated towards a 10-hour window. This 10-hour window seems to strike a balance, allowing people to maintain a social life while improving their health. They acknowledge that while some individuals find it initially challenging, others find it liberating to have an 8-hour eating window. This adaptation speaks to the idea of training circadian biology through consistent patterns. The speaker emphasizes the need to personalize recommendations based on lifestyle, job, and family dynamics, noting that not every approach suits every person. The discussion delves into evolutionary aspects, pointing out that historically humans may have had longer periods without food, aligning with our natural circadian rhythms. The speaker explains that our ancestors likely consumed substantial meals during the day and ate lighter meals in the evening, aligning with modern research on blood sugar control and insulin production. They stress the importance of eating food that aligns with our biological rhythms, considering the impact on glucose regulation and metabolism. The conversation also addresses the prevalence of metabolic issues like prediabetes and diabetes in modern society, emphasizing the need for tailored recommendations. While early humans may have handled hunger in the evening differently, individuals with metabolic challenges may benefit from front-loading calories earlier in the day when blood sugar control is more efficient. Overall, the discussion highlights the complexity of dietary recommendations and the importance of understanding individual needs and biological responses. Discover Glucose 6, a natural supplement with nanotechnology that revitalizes your cells and stabilizes your sugar levels. This video shows you how this innovative product can effectively improve your health in a natural way. With Glucose 6, you can experience greater vitality and well-being by taking care of your cells comprehensively. Don't miss the opportunity to learn more about this incredible supplement in the link in the description. Click and discover how Glucose 6 can change your life for the better.